Hello, everyone. So this is my week 5 Pulse nightclub shooting after action report video and kind of my thoughts and stuff on that. So just starting it off here, I think just right there in the beginning, how they talked about how this was requested by the fire chief. Um, I just think these reviews are kind of important, as we've seen with last week's review and this week's, how they kind of just improve these departments' procedures for the next time they have to respond to something like this. And I think they should be conducted pretty often because, I mean, it really shows the kind of like their shortcomings and with the gap reports and gap reviews that they do, how these departments can improve their trainings, their procedures, their policies, all that kind of stuff. But then to really get into like the report itself, I just started off with, I think it was kind of important how close that department station number 5 was to the nightclub. I was really literally just right across the street, and actually it was such a big help for everybody else showing up. They had the department right there that they could start immediately responding, and there was also they could use the bays and the unified command posts and stuff like that, which were in the different locations that used that station. I think that was very helpful with the incident and response. And then I also found it interesting that with kind of like the command posts and the staging posts, that they moved it so many times. I did understand that like the kind of location around the nightclub was changing from a hot to a warm zone, kind of back and forth. But I think it would have been kind of better off to back it up a little bit and just kind of leave it in one location, because I think moving it around so many times was just adding confusion to an already chaotic situation. But it did seem to work all right. But I don't know, just that to me, if you're trying to go to a specific location and it's moved once, and then you have to figure out where the new location is, and then it moves again and back to a different location or something like that, you're kind of just all over the place. But then the next part was how the fire department and the OCFR and how well they kind of integrated their command together. They really stated that as soon as the OCFR showed up, their leadership was integrated right into the existing command that was already on the scene, and kind of like that was really a big piece, because you need that command working together well. But that was kind of ties into the next point with how that was one of the shortcomings was, yeah, you might have had command with the OFD and OCFR, but with the police department, it had their own kind of command, and there really wasn't a unified command post, and that really led to a bunch of deficiencies with communication and how the fire department was able to kind of respond to people. And really, like me, it specifically mentions that the fire department thought an IED had went off when the police department breached the building, because they had no idea that they were going in. So you can see how that might have caused a lot of confusion and chaos too. If you think an explosion's gone off, that's just another thing you have to deal with in a response like that. But and then next one here is with the fire departments typically have procedures with taking people and our patients and wounded people to hospitals. Kind of how important it is to not have those hospitals overwhelmed, so they're kind of like spreading the patients out. And I think having the police department with that kind of lack of communication between the two, the police department was transporting people in police cars to the hospitals, and I think that kind of I don't know how to say it, but kind of ruins the policy if you're going to have this thing in place to make sure they don't get overwhelmed, but then you're just kind of having police take them to one location. You're just you're having extra people go there where they could be being redirected to better handle it. I think that's kind of an important thing, that if the communication was there, they could have been, even if the police did want to transport, they could have redirected them somewhere else to better help the hospital, so they weren't getting as overwhelmed as they were. But then lastly, I think it was good to see how they implemented the approach for the first responder recovery and kind of like the mental health thing, because even the states that immediately they didn't really realize it, and it was kind of similar with the previous mass casualty events that they'd seen. They really weren't taking into account the mental health and stuff like that of your first responders, but with the new plan that they talked about, that Chief Dodds talked about in the video today, how they've kind of have that in place now, and they did actually eventually go back and kind of put those resources available to the firefighters and your EMS and police. So I think that's really important to have it for them. But that's all I have for today. Thanks.